Hey, my name is Thomas and today I'd like to show you Sunny 16. That's a method how you take pictures without having a light meter.
Well, I have to admit you deserve expressions that really fit you. And so I've racked my brain hoping to explain all the things that you did to me. Me, Mr. Shane, please let me explain. Me, Mr. Shane, means you're grand.
Okay, so what's the Sunny 16? It's a very simple set of rules how you have to expose your film, or a sensor for that matter, if you don't have a light meter. So it starts with the shutter speed. If you've got an ISO 100 film, you will select 1/100th of a second or 1/25th. If you've got a 200 ISO film, the correct shutter speed would be 1/200th of a second, and so forth and so on. Once you've set that, it's all about the aperture. So Sunny 16, as the name says, if it's a really bright sunny day, blue skies, you select f16. If it's like today, some sun but overcast, you go for f11. If it's completely overcast, no sun, you select f8. If it's a very dark day, very dark clouds, it's f5.6. The same goes on a sunny day for the shadows. Then if it's a really dark shadow, maybe inside of a forest or something, you go for f4. So that's basically your rule, and if you just set your exposure and aperture according to that rule, you always should get a correctly exposed photo. So I want to take a photo of these lit figures in there, so I figure it's like indoors. I set the camera to f4. Okay, there's another motif. Now it's a bit shady, so I should select f5.6. But yeah, of course you can also vary. Like you say, I want a shallow depth of field, so I go for 2.8. So I adjust the shutter speed to 500 then, right? So I've got the same effect.
You deserve expressions that really fit you. And so I've racked my brain hoping to explain all the things that you did to me. Me, Mr. Shane, please let me explain.
So I'm gonna take a photo of that Coach thing over there. And it's in the sun, and it's overcast sun, so I'm gonna select f11.
It means you're the fairest. It means you're the fairest. It means you're the fairest in the land. You're the
This rule is called Sunny 16. In Germany, I know it as Sonne lacht, Blende 8, which means the sun is laughing, the sun is shining, so take f8. Why is that? Because it's an old rule, and back then most people, they didn't have ISO 100 film, it was more like ISO 25. So then instead of f16 at a hundredth of a second, you would select f8. I also came across a variation. It was called Overcast 5.6, and that came from Scotland because apparently they never have sun there. So this is a statue of out of sculpting apparently. And I'm going to take a photo. Because he's half in the shadow and half in the sun, I'm going to go for f8. And remember, the shutter speed is set to the ISO, so ISO 100 means 1/25th of a second. Aha, so these are the two Cologne originals. Schäl and Tünnes. So Tünnes is the guy with a good character and a very big nose, as you can see. And if you like stand on his feet like this and grab his nose, you can choose the love of your life. And this guy is Schäl. He's more the business guy, a bit two-faced maybe, a two-faced character. But nonetheless, these two were always good friends, and they stand for the character of the Cologne people. So if you're about success, you should shake his hand and also step on his feet. But I already selected for love, so I'm not going to do it. But just shake his hand, step on his feet, and think of your success. So it's quite obvious that this Sunny 16 rule of thumb is not about hyper-accurate metering or exposing, but you know, it works best with a negative film or a black and white film because they just have a huge latitude. That means if you're under or overexposing by 1 or even 2 stops, results will still be very good. If you are shooting on color slide film, you have to be more precise, and maybe this rule of thumb is not really going to work for you, but it's a rule from the 1930s, 40s, 50s where people didn't have exposure meters in their cameras, and most of those people also were just using black and white film for cost reasons.